Well, it's been a good long while since I've uploaded anything paramotor instruction or pilot development related. And part of that's because for 3 solid months I was doing nothing but traveling and flying myself. I had the great fortune of being able to visit a lot of states and a lot of places, a lot of people in the paramotor community and paragliding community as well. But man, it's beautiful here today. It's fall in the southeast. I mean, we've had 5 or 6 consecutive days of just perfect weather. So one of those days this past week, I got out and flew with my friend James. James had initially asked me to teach him how to fly, and I knew the level of commitment that that would require on my behalf. So I asked him to buy training somewhere else. Well, nobody I know has persisted toward their paramotor goals as much as James has. He was misled by a couple vendors, a couple schools, went through training twice, and had some really good training, but he'd never really gotten very far out from the airport. So we got a chance to get out the other night, and it was spectacular. If you've flown for a while, you'll probably find this pretty boring. If you've done wing overs or cross countries, this video isn't really for you. But if you're a new guy and you're just out of paramotor school and you want to get out there and maybe expand your horizons a little bit, so to speak, that's what I was trying to accomplish with James. So as you watch this time-lapse sunset from an evening when I got to fly with David Wolf, paramotor crazy up in the Cincinnati area, I want to briefly outline what James and I were attempting to accomplish. I wanted him to link turns together, left turn followed by a right turn, and increasingly steeper and steeper so that he could get a sensation of a little G-loading and swinging underneath his glider. And then I wanted to reinforce just how much real estate he was covering with his turns. I gave him a couple very simple tasks of tracking crops and then maneuvering through a little gap of grass, and just generally had him follow me around. The bigger and more important thing that I wanted him to experience was flying a given heading at a given speed for a given amount of time to get from point A to point B. It's not really something that he'd done much of because most of his flights had been within visual sight of the LZ. So we got him down a little bit lower, and we flew northbound for about 10 miles. And we turned back around and went kind of southwest to end up about 6 or 7 miles to the west of the airport before we turned around and headed back to land. Hope you enjoy this.
Very nice. Okay, that's good. Let's go straight down here where this round field is, and I want you to line up your glider. So I'm going to get over the trees first at altitude. So if you have a motor out, you don't end up in the trees. And I'm going to go down into that field and see where the high grass looks like a funnel to the left. I'm going to fly through that funnel. And it doesn't matter how high you are. It's a matter of, can you aim for the funnel? So I'm up here. I'm going to get to a point where I know I can make that field if the motor quit. And I'm going to let off the throttle, and I'm going to ease on down in a descent. So I could make that field now if I needed to. And I'm going to make a left turn, and I'm going to head right through that gap in the high grass. And then I'm going to climb out to the right. So I already have it planned what I'm going to do. It's just a matter of doing it.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to try to follow this little pathway that keeps this field separated. Right here where the slough is, you'll see there's a road when you get down here. And I'm just going to zoom right over here. And then I'm going to come back around, and I'm just going to kind of split the difference between these lines of grass. And that's what I want you to do. Split the difference between the lines of grass. Come right down here, right between the center of it, just like this. And when you get to about here, come on the power and start climbing back out. Come out on around here. Don't hit the trees. Ease off to the right. Make a right turn out this way. That's a real good exercise, what I just did. If you can do what I just did, that'll help build the skills of putting the glider in your body where you want it to be. I'm going to hang out over here. I'm going to watch you do it one more time. There you go. Not too bad. You're still a little high, but you did exactly what we're trying to do. You tracked right through there pretty well. Did you go through the gap?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Let's head out to the west. So follow me back this way. We're going to go way over there to the west. This is uphill, so there's a lot of terrain change in this area. That's something you want to start looking for too, is does the terrain change significantly? And I can see somebody's got a deer stand out here. I'm going to go away in case they are out there. But do like I did, come down to this end and then come back down this way and fly the length of this field fairly low. Just get used to flying a little bit lower, and since it's into the wind, if you have an engine out, you'll be able to just pick a spot and land. There is a fence line here in the middle of this field. So just do this, come down here. There's even a little grass road here. You can track down the grass road if you want to, just to the right of the fence line. It's nice and smooth, and you'll see it runs uphill, so you got to stay in the power, because you don't want the power. You don't want to end up flying into the ground because you're not able to outclimb it. So I'm coming back on the power already. Just going to track down this road. It's a little bumpy down here, not horrible. I'm going to climb back up to about 1,000 feet. And then we're going to go down to this big green emerald field where they're spraying the water off the right in front of me. But you need to be high enough to cross this gap of trees here. So it looks like you're high enough now, maybe a little bit higher. This whole time I think, well, when would I turn around and go back the other way versus when would I continue to that field? And I wouldn't continue to that field just yet from my current position. I'd land right below me if I had a motor out. And even as I cross these trees, I would still make a 180-degree turn and then another 180-degree turn to land behind me. And then from right about here, I think I could make that green field. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly behind these houses. I'm going to come off the power and go on glide and see if I could make that field. So, not quite yet. And I'm going to fly right down the spine of that sprinkler system. So right about here, I'm going to go to idle power. I'm right just to the left of this guy's, or to the right of this guy's swimming pool area here. And I'm just going on glide, and I'm just feeling the brakes a little bit every now and then, just to make sure the wing is staying where I want it to stay. Yep, I could have made that field very easily. So if my motor quit, I'd still be able to make that field. So I'm going to continue on down lower and try to track right down the sprinkler head. I mean, exactly over the top of it. It should be easy because you're into the wind. Buenas tardes. I'm going to make a radio call here for a second. You got your trims back in?
Yeah.
Okay. Lexington County traffic. A flight of 2 paragliders approaching the field from about 2.5 miles to the west. Will be landing midfield. Cabbage.
Traffic Grumman Yankee 222, Foxtrot Romeo extended to left base 1A full stop alien.
Broccoli.
So just for James's edification here, because I suspect he'll probably watch this video, the whole point of this was really just to track along this tree line. We had a nice gentle breeze pressure from the right blowing into the trees, so there was a little bit of lift here. And it's relatively safe. There's no power lines anywhere out here. There's no houses. There's nothing to get in the way. Even if the pivots are in the way, they're only in the way momentarily. If at any point along this journey, right at treetop level, you had a motor out, it'd just be a slight right brake pull, head into the wind and flare the glider into the crops. And you'd have a nice road for recovery right along here the whole way. This is the kind of flying that will build your skills, James. Learning how to track things, trying to predict what's going to happen as the wind interacts with those things, and giving yourself plenty of options for safety. An out to land into the right, chance to land pretty much straight ahead as long as you didn't get that left wingtip fouled up with the tree line. And then of course you see the power lines coming up here. You'll notice I climb, and I climb off to the right a little bit so that if I did have a motor failure, it would give me the option of either being to the right of those power lines or over onto the other side on the left-hand side.
Lexington County traffic. A flight of 2 paragliders is 1 mile to the west of the airport. After the airplane lands, we'll land midfield.
I got the paraglider in sight.
And one last pivot. We have to track down this one, James.
Incoming traffic, that's an I-186 uniform, is about 10 miles to the southeast. I'll make a 45 entry left downwind, runway 18 full stop, Lexington County. Traffic Grumman Yankee 2, Foxtrot Romeo, clear the active runway, filling.
Lexington County traffic. The paragliders are at the field boundary just to the west. We'll be landing midfield. So I come in this fairly high here, James, because of the, the power lines and the trees and everything like that. And I try to cross over here high enough that I don't have to worry about if I had a motor out, I could still make it at least into the hangars and not have to have somebody fish me out of the power lines. And it looks like the winds are just a little bit more south than they were before, so the option's yours if you want to land between the runways where you did yesterday. I'm going to try to land in there by the trucks. All right.
I'm not on the land between the runway and taxiway. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. That's a good plan. It'll give you more room and it'll give you a chance to get set up. And then if you do, and you keep the wing above you, try to taxi over toward the taxiway at least to clear the runway, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Can I go on the runway at all or not?
You mean fly over it or you mean land on it?
Taxi. When I taxi. On a taxi.
The runway or the taxiway?
Taxiway. Once I get on the ground.
Yeah, you can use the taxiways just like an airplane if you'd like to.
Okay.
Just remember to look for those lights, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll stay with you until you're on the ground.
And Lexington County traffic, Luscombe 892 is 3.5 to the east, inbound for landing. Lexington County at Pelion.
And Lexington County traffic, we have one remaining paraglider. He's just to the west of the runway. He'll be landing midfield in the taxiway grass median, and he'll taxi clear. We'll call when he's clear.
86 uniform is about 5 miles to the southeast, enter 45, left downwind for runway 18, Lexington County.
All right, James.
Our aircraft inbound to Lexington County, say position again. I'm 3 to the east.
Very nice, James.
Traffic inbound to Lexington County, say position. The Luscombe is 2.5 to the east.
Take that to 9186 uniform, we'll do a 360 and let you get in there before us, Lexington County.
Oh, thank you very much. Luscombe 892 is 2 miles to the east. We'll be entering a left downwind for runway 18, Lexington County.
Lexington County traffic, one remaining paraglider on short final to land midfield. He'll be in the grass and clear of the runway.
Roger, thank you. Tally ho, I have eyeballs on him.
All right, James, very nicely done. Just hang in there. Now don't flare early because you're going to need that energy with the crosswind. Beautiful. Now keep taxiing. Come back on that power and taxi over here. Easy, easy. Don't get airborne again.
And Luscombe 892 is left downwind for runway 18, plan full stop, Lexington County at Pelion.
Very nicely done, James. Very nice. All right. Very nice. And the paraglider is clear of the runway at Lexington County.
Thank you, sir.
All right, don't flip over on that asphalt. Slow down, nice and slow. And
Luscombe 892 is turning a left base, runway 18, Lexington County.
fantastic.